Light enough is good.
Yeah.
I don't know about the great part. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
Thank you, though.
You're welcome. Okay. So we are now ready to get started. And I am always excited every month for being able to share information with my Facebook family, Sharon Harrell from Royalty Business Group. And today is like every month, I'm excited about who I have here. Someone I've known for many years and now get the opportunity to bring to this platform to share her information. Elvera Pollard, who is with Aflac. And most of us growing up knew about Aflac and the duck. And that's how we always know about Aflac. But there's so much more to Aflac than just what the duck offers. And so Elvera is here to tell us about what Aflac has, their great benefits. And we want to start off knowing a little bit about Elvera. So Elvera, if you could just tell everyone about who you are and how you came to want to be affiliated, connected with Aflac.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Sharon, for having me. It is definitely a privilege. I don't take it for granted, and I really appreciate you feeling like what I have to say is valuable to share with your audience. I'm a Washingtonian, born and raised in DC. A lot of people say that, then they'll say Silver Spring, and I was like, no, that doesn't count. Graduate of H.D. Woodson High School, the original one, and then Southeastern University in Southwest. Received my degree in business administration. I was a young bride. I got married at 18, went off to work full-time and go to college full-time. And hubby is still by my side. The Lord has blessed us to celebrate 43 and a half years of marriage. 2 beautiful daughters. My youngest one is an airline pilot, believe it or not, and my oldest one is an assistant principal. So God has been good to us, and I give him all the glory and honor and praise for that. Okay. So enough about me, but that's the lead into how I got to be with Aflac. After 30 years of working in the legal industry, the platform changed to where I wasn't helping the people that I had signed up to, and that was as a diversity manager. It was shifting to a group that did not need my help in leveling the playing field, so to speak. So I was just fretting, and God knew that, and that door closed so beautifully. And I found myself saying, I'm 50 years old. Where do I go from here? I wasn't worried. I just wanted him to pick out my next career. I said, Lord, whatever door you open, I'll walk through. So a commercial came on TV, believe it or not, advertising Aflac agent, becoming an Aflac agent. I was like, oh my, okay. Never heard of it from that angle, always about the products, never advertising about becoming an agent. And that was it. So I guess God said, well, I didn't get her attention. Let her see this commercial again. And it came on again. And I said, well, while I'm waiting to figure out what he wants me to do next, I might as well call them. And I did. And they set me up with an appointment in Rockville. And he was delighted. And I said, well, Lord, I have to take all these tests and become licensed. You know, I don't like a lot of tests and exams. So if you want me to do this, you're going to have to enable me to. And I'm telling you, it was green light after green light. Then they assign you with a mentor. But my mentor was not the godliest mentor. So after my second arrangement with him. I had to just fire him. And I said, Lord, it's just going to be me and you. We're going to figure it out. And let's see here, July made it 11 years that
Wow.
he has kept me in the arena, and he allowed me to learn it from a standpoint of servicing, so that I would take my mind off of my bank account, off of trying to push products, and focus on the need for the person. So after I was able to really learn the products, and then he gave me the ability to talk to people, listen to them, and hear what they really needed. And that blessed me to not oversell or even undersell, unless, I was always sensitive to budget. I get it. There is life after Aflac. So here I am today.
Awesome. That is a wonderful story. And it sounds like we have a little bit in common, because I too am born, raised in Washington, D.C., grew up not far from H.D. Woodson High School.
Okay.
So I definitely know that area.
Okay.
And some of our Facebook family, the same thing. So that's great to know. That's great to know.
Oh, awesome.
Tell us more about Aflac. Like I said, it's more than just the duck, like you mentioned, and it has some great benefits, but people aren't really aware of it because the commercials give you the taste of it. But can you just go in and tell us, what Aflac is?
Well, their premise is to sell the sizzle and not the steak. And it's funny, a lot of times though, when you go into detail, people shut down because they're like, oh, it's insurance. And so that can be a turnoff there. But I tell you, I definitely am a witness to how Aflac financially has saved people. Basically, insurance is another financial tool. It's a financial component to your pie, your financial pie, that helps you protect your income, protect your lifestyle. That's why people get car insurance, homeowner policies, but they get to their bodies and they don't think about insuring themselves when it comes to their health. And with all of the changes with health insurance doesn't cover things like they used to. There's deductibles, co-pays, out-of-pocket maximums. Then there's just these expensive diagnoses that people are just not educated or prepared. Things like heart attack, stroke, cancer, devastating accidents that will take them off their journey for months. And they say, how are we going to pay our bills? How are we going to pay? You can't call your mortgage up and say, I haven't been able to work for 3 months because I'm sick, or this, or that prescription that comes in. I'm hearing awful amounts of $1,000 and $2,000 that insurance has paid their portion, and that's the person's fee, their portion. So I tell people, Aflac pays you. We never pay doctors and hospitals, regardless of insurance. Federal government workers, independent individuals can sign up for Aflac. We just ask that you have major medical. Why is that requirement? Because a lot of times people get confused and they think Aflac will pay their hospital bill. And so Aflac has taken the parental approach to making sure, so there's certain policies we cannot even sell to individuals if they do not have health insurance. But they have an array of 10 different products or more, from all types of life insurance for yourself, for your children. Then there's hospital, accident, cancer, critical care, dental, vision. And I want to touch on a lot of the ones that people say, well, I have hospitals, so why would I need hospital? Well, with hospital, first of all, you're guaranteed most likely to have a deductible. My husband tore his meniscus on the tennis court, and our deductible at that time was $1,200. They would not take him into the surgical center until the $1,200 was paid up front.
Wow.
Now, it was an unexpected, unplanned episode. So now a lot of us have $1,200 that we can just pull from. Well, Aflac realizes that. So they, once you are enrolled in a plan that will cover something like that incident, which would be the accident policy, and you sign up for direct deposit, you send them the document that they need. And that's where I tell people, that's where you use your agent. You tell them, hey, I'm about to go have surgery. What do I need? What does Aflac need? It's just planning. That way you don't have to worry about later trying to scramble and get documentation. Am I doing okay as far as making it kind of plain?
Oh, yes, definitely,
Oh,
definitely.
good. Oh, cool.
And so I just want to tell our folks out there and our Facebook family that if you have any questions or comments, please type them into the chat. We want this to be engaging and making sure that you receive the information that you want in order to be an educated consumer. Because I know you remember that commercial said educated consumer is the best customer. We want to make sure that we are educating our consumers so they can understand the difference in Aflac versus other services and products out there.
That's right.
One of the questions I wanted to ask you is, what is the normal range, age range of your clients that come to you for Aflac?
You know, not the ones who should, that's for sure. You know, I tell people, I have this slogan, get it before you get it, because if you don't get it before you get it, you can't get it. And I mean that because it's a pre-existing condition. When they're young, they don't think they're going to get it. They think they're invincible. And when they're older, they've already gotten it, so they can't get it. So I'm trying to reach that 30 to 40-ish market, because that's most likely the time frame when people haven't had the issues that would become an issue that would prevent them. But I want to finish that story real quick with my husband's accident, just to say that Aflac paid me that $1,200 more than what I needed, but I was able to get that $1,200 from Aflac within 3 business days, which helped me offset what I needed to take that $1,200 from. In addition to follow-up visits to the doctors, physical therapy, $100 for crutches, all of the things you don't think about paying. Even ambulance. An ambulance today costs an individual $600 that a medical does not cover. That's $600 out of your pocket.
Right.
Aflac pays you for that. It's not the full 600. I tell people Aflac's not your silver bullet, but it will definitely, let's say it's your volume. It will take the edge off of your financial circumstance so that you can now focus on recovery. And that's basically what I try to share with people. So yes, I try to get to now my young people, if they just give me an ear, I'll say you can lock in on a whole life policy, pennies on a dollar, because it's an age banded product, which means we go by your age, and you will be paying the same thing. Aflac has another policy of critical care. I had a young woman who was 29 years old. She says, heart disease runs in my family. I want to get the critical care. That's the product that gives you protection if you have a heart attack, stroke, coronary artery bypass, sudden cardiac arrest, all of those issues that will take you off your journey for months. Trust me, you have a heart attack today, you're not going to work tomorrow. Well, Aflac's policy averages $20 a pay, $40 a month for a critical care policy that has over $9,000 in continuing care benefits. If one has a heart attack within the first year, the payout is $7,500 out the gate, just because. And that doesn't include hospitalization. And you say, well, why are they paying all this if I have health insurance? Because health insurance doesn't cover everything. Plus, you're off your job. What if you don't have any more leave? I had a mom whose 12-year-old son was jumped when he got off the bus, punched him in the eye. So now she's in the hospital with him 5 days, 5 nights, mending his wound. But she had just finished dealing with her 18-year-old son with mental issues. So she's on 0 leave. She had the accident and the hospital policy. Aflac considered that an accident. Unfortunate, but nevertheless. And I was able to take her a check for over $3,500. Now she doesn't have to worry about how am I going to pay my rent, on top of the emotional issues that she's dealing with mending to her son. So Aflac pays you because they know that things happen, and some people unfortunately are still living from paycheck to paycheck. But even if you have savings, I tell people, is that why you saved your money? So that you can spend it on a medical bill? You know, you can use, sometimes depends on the job that they have, they can use pre-tax dollars. And if you are one who can itemize, you can use it to write off on your checking, on your income taxes. It's just everybody's in a different place, but I will know that, and I'll be able to share that with them when I also talk to them. So, but my one theme, because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, the cancer policy is huge, and they're coming on different levels so that everyone will have a version that's affordable. You have the top of the line, and then you have the basic. The basic line is an average of $14 a pay, $28 a month, less than $30. And if you would be diagnosed with cancer, the first payout just being diagnosed is $4,000 on the basic level, $6,000 for the top of the line. Then there's hospitalization, because they know you may have to go to the hospital, or radiation that's paid at $900 a week. Or if you're in Virginia, $300 a day for each occurrence. Because every occurrence, some people don't realize, when you have radiation, you're paying co-pays for each time. I had a client who had 6 days of radiation for 6 weeks. That's 6 times $35 each time she went, times 6 weeks. That becomes a bill.
Yeah.
So, and if you know Aflac is just going to pay you $6,000, plus they're going to pay you $900 a week every time you go in for radiation, the last thing now you're going to worry about are your finances. We can't help with the health piece, but at least now you don't have it coupled with compounding debt that's accumulating because of the medical issue. So I wanted to definitely highlight our cancer policy because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Thank you for sharing that, because that's some important information. I mean, we don't know when or if that could happen to us or our family members or friends. So being able to know that we have something out there like Aflac that can help us financially to sustain us through that time, because like you said, people could act like confused like with the medical, and it's not really about the medical. It's really about the person, to make sure that they can sustain their quality of life with paying their bills, not having those financial stresses that can make your condition even worse.
Oh, absolutely. It can take you under. I had a client who has been on, now I have to highlight this, and this is the company. No company does this. This woman signed up for a cancer policy. She worked for 1 year before she was diagnosed with cancer. Aflac has a waiver provision with their policy that if you're unable to work more than 90 days due to this illness, they will waive your premium month to month. She had an Aflac policy for almost 10 years, 9 of which she did not pay for because she was unable to work, and the benefits did not change.
Wow.
The cancer policy was Aflac's first plan in 1958. The CEO's grandfather was diagnosed with cancer, so they also use that as a platform to perfect their cancer plans. They just enhanced it even more to cover more conditions. And they even have a cancer for children in Atlanta that they're contributing, and they just run for parents who have kids who have been diagnosed. So they take the cancer policy very seriously. And because I tell people, if you sign up for direct deposit, 9 times out of 10, your claims are paid within 7 days. They no hassles as long as you get the paperwork in. Aflac doesn't want you to experience hassles because they know you're already going through a devastation. And the last thing you want to do is have to argue with a company about the money that you thought you were entitled to now that you've been diagnosed with a condition.
Yes, yes. That's some great stuff. That's some great stuff. So I just want to remind again our Facebook family that there are Elvera's contact information is in the chat. So make sure you reach out to her for specific questions. But we do have a question that just came in, and Sean is asking, are there family policies?
Absolutely. All levels: individual, insured and spouse, 1-parent family, and 2-parent family. Absolutely.
Okay. And does those policies with the premiums depend on the person's condition, their health condition, or their age?
Well, they vary. For example, the accident policy is not age banded, is just based on level of coverage. So an individual will pay regardless. But for example, the cancer policy, if one has had cancer within the past 7 years, then they would not be eligible, especially if they're still on a hormonal drug. So again, that goes back to my get it before you get it, so you can get it, because it may be a pre-existing condition. There are, with the critical care, the heart, it's all about the heart. So if you are overweight, if you have had a stroke within the past 7 years, that seems to be the lucky number, 7, or heart attack or whatnot, or that can be a detriment. Now, what they did was, I like this, Aflac said, okay, let's say you do have some health issues. We have guaranteed plans. They're abbreviated, but nevertheless, they're solid enough to still supplement your income if you would have one of these incidents. So I tell people, be honest with me, tell me what I'm working with so I can recommend the best version and plan that you need for your situation. A woman who just got married, let's say 25, 30, she's not going to need the same thing as somebody who's 45 or 50. So and kids are grown. If someone says I have kids who are playing sports, I immediately say, get the accident policy. Because here's the good news. All policy owners, like the person who takes out the policy, they get paid even when it's their loved one. Because let's face it, the last place you're going to work if something happens to your children or to your spouse. And Aflac pays the policy holder, even if it's not them. So I tell people, I hear all the time why I say, oh no, he's got his own plan. I said, is it Aflac? Because if it's not Aflac, it's not Aflac. You're going to get paid if something happens to your husband, and you're going to be there, aren't you? If something happens to him. And so now you're not working. You want to protect your income. So you want to put on the people, your spouse and children. Everybody asked me about parents, and we haven't been able to incorporate parents on policies yet. And I'm hoping that Aflac will be able to do that soon, because that's a very popular question. But in the meantime, you can definitely take care of your spouse and your children up until age 26. And then it can roll over and get their own policies at that point.
Okay, that was going to be my next question to you about the age for children. What age do they stop covering them? So age 26, just like the medical. So that's great. So I know you had also mentioned to me, I think it was before we got online, about the benefits being able to be deducted from your pay versus paying them yourself. So how would someone know if their company offers Aflac, or if they would need to like work with you directly to set up their own policy?
Well, if you're a federal government worker, I'm gonna put you in one category and I'll come back to that in a second. If you do work for a company and you're not sure, the best thing to do is just ask your HR department if they offer Aflac. And a lot of people just don't know, because if they're not really, I'm good, whatever, I don't really need, they don't get into the benefit conversation very deeply. Or if there's a husband and he says, well, my wife takes care of it. Well, what if your wife's job doesn't offer Aflac and yours do? So the first thing I would do is ask your human resource department if that's a benefit that they offer. If they don't, then I have two different conversations. Either one, ask them if they would like to offer it, because I can bring it to the company, and then you get a better deal when you can sign up through your company. You get access to all the policies, you get a group rate. And so if I can make that happen, then there's people who have their own businesses. I tell them, if you have at least 3 people, including yourself, including a spouse, you can create your own business Aflac account. And then you're just as good as if you were going to an employer. All right, so those are the individuals. Now, let's say you work for a company that doesn't offer it, you don't have your own business. What's a possibility for you? You can take out a select number of individual policies for an individual. And I don't mean just a one person. Let's say you wanted to take out an individual policy. You could still add your spouse and your children. It's called on direct. Okay. So that's those different versions. Now, government workers have it made in so many ways. It's not funny. But one of them is you're going to always get the group rate. So even if you're signing up for yourself, just because you're a federal government employee, you get the group rate, and it's federal. DC government has their own plan. It's Aflac, but you have to go through your HR department. I get more calls from DC government and Metro. I tell you, Metro has their own person too. And then if you're a federal government employee, you want it taken out of your paycheck. They just changed the process. We used to connect with Bank of America, who did it with federal government. They just decided they didn't want to play anymore. So this is a great time to come on board, because it's a very easy, straightforward method. But let's say some people say, well, I don't want it coming out of my paycheck. I have too many things coming out of my paycheck. Then you can pay it like you would your car note, monthly, on a credit card or checking account. So there's 3 different methods for federal government workers, and there's a variety of things for other individuals. That's why I'm your best source of information. Tell me what you want, tell me what you're working with, and I will create a plan that works best for you.
Okay, great. So we have another question. And the question basically asks, what about mental illnesses like dementia or Alzheimer's that are for a prolonged periods of time? How would Aflac, or what does Aflac has to offer?
Well, I was going to say 6 months ago, I would have said nothing. They are doing absolutely, nothing, because that one's tricky because it's ongoing. But they recently have added the mental health component to the hospital policy. The trick, though, is you have to get the hospital policy before you are diagnosed with it. Again, it goes back to get it before you get it, or else you can't get it. Right. So if one has signed up for a hospital policy and they haven't been diagnosed with a mental disorder, then there are coverages for it. So what I say is my email address is in the chat. If someone has questions like that, email me and I can send you some brochures. They're digital versions. I can email you a brochure, and that way you can see the dollar amounts. Because like one guy wanted it for something, and I said, you know what, for what you want it for, it's not going to pay for itself. And again, that's what I do. I don't sugarcoat it. If it's not going to help you do what you want, I don't want you happy, that you got it and then mad because now you're stuck with a product that you can't use. I will let you know, because again, this is a ministry to me. I am serving and I'm disseminating information that I think will be a benefit to you.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. And so again, as Elvera mentioned, her information is in the chat. Please make sure you download it, copy it, and so you can reach out to her directly to ask her any questions that you might have, because everybody's not comfortable putting all the information out here. It is social media, and once it's there, it's there. So we want to make sure that we are protecting people's privacy, but we also want to make sure that we are asking the right questions. So please put your comments and questions into the chat so we can continue this great conversation with Elvera and be able to get all the information that we can at this time. So one of the questions I have for you is, what is the top policy that you normally sell when or provide to your clients?
Well, it depends on the person. It depends on their need. But I hail the cancer policy for this reason. I tell people, if you eat the food, if you drink the water, breathe the air, get a cancer policy, put it on your back burner, hope you never need it, but thank God you do if you are ever diagnosed with a cancer. There's so many different versions of cancer. I had another client who was about to sign up. There's a 30-day waiting period for the cancer policy. And she had a colonoscopy scheduled. I said, change it. I said, because if you get diagnosed within the 30 days, they're just going to pay you, which they do. And I'm sorry, I failed to mention, they give all policy holders an incentive of $100 if you have the top of the line policy to go get a cancer screening, because early detection is the best way you cure cancer. But if cancer is diagnosed within the first 30 days, they'll pay you the $100 and then close the policy. So I myself had signed up in July when I became an agent and discovered a lump. And my husband says, when are you going to the doctors? And I said, not until August 1st, because if it's cancer, it's cancer. But I didn't get this for $100, and that's what happened. Fortunately, it wasn't anything. So, but I tell everyone, let me know what I'm working with so I can advise you. She changed her date. I monitor my claims board, meaning when people are paid. Because if they pinned or if they get denied, I want to jump in there and see why and try to help them. Hers, she received $6,000. I saw the payout. I knew exactly what that meant. She changed her date. She went and had that colonoscopy. She had a polyp that was cancerous, and Aflac paid her $6,000.
Wow.
You never know. She did not expect it. I called her up. She said, I can't believe it. I changed the date, but I didn't think that they were going to, she was so excited. I just told her, I thank you that you changed the date. A lot of times people dismiss my advice and say, oh, she's just being overly or superstitious or whatever. But I just say, no, they have a 30-day waiting period. If you have a date and you can change it, change it. You got the policy, you're halfway there. You don't want to ruin it. And so that was, so the cancer policy, because we eat, sleep, and breathe, and we think even if we eat organically, it's still in an area, a culture in the ground where there's pesticides and chemicals and whatnot. And we just came through COVID. You just don't know. So that's my number one. But if heart disease runs in your family or just stressful position and job, that critical care. So I try to put my products in packages. I have a catastrophic package, for my cancer with a partner with cancer and critical care. Because every 34 seconds, someone has a stroke. Every 40 seconds, somebody's having a heart attack. It just depends. You know, so many people know they shouldn't eat pork or whatever, but that doesn't stop them. So, you know, there's a lot of health issues with the critical care that policy can help. But then I have a goal plan, which consists of the 4 core products, and that's accident, illness, hospital, critical care, and cancer. So whether it's an injury, whether it's cancerous, heart attack, or just an illness, you're covered. Now, I mentioned we had dental and vision and life, but these two I want to quickly say. People say, well, I have dental. There's no dental plan that pays 100% of everything.
That's true.
That's a major type called for root canals, bridges, crowns, only 50%. But people say, well, I have dental, I'm good there. Well, Aflac has a dental plan that will pay you regardless of insurance, and that will help you offset that portion that is your out-of-pocket expense. For example, my crown was $1,400. I had MetLife. They covered $700 of it. I had $50 for my deductible and then $7. That's $750. Aflac's dental paid me $250 of that. So, and that's for just one crown. And now Aflac's dental has waiting periods. But once you satisfy them, unlike deductibles that start over every year, their waiting periods are satisfied. So if you've had your policy for a year and you live in the state of Maryland, you have satisfied all the waiting periods, but they're staggering. So it doesn't mean you get the policy and you have to wait a year before you use it. You get it and it's staggering. They want you to go get that cleaning and exam, and there's a payout for that. Then if you've had your policy for 3 months, now you get fillings and so forth. And it comes with a little, I call it my handy dandy reference guide. It breaks down every procedure with an 88 code. It tells you how long you have to have your policy and exactly what Aflac's going to pay you. So it takes the guesswork out. You can plan your dental appointments accordingly because you know what to expect financially.
Wow. That is some great information. I mean, I never knew that Aflac had dental or vision coverage, or in how you're breaking it down to how the money is going to the person and not to the company, you know, like for the medical bills.
That's right.
So you can really, use that money for what you need to use it for, and not just saying, okay, well, the bill is paid, but you still don't have any money to pay or to live, to buy food and things like that. So
no, I mean, with me, I put the $500, I mean, the $750 on my credit card, but it was nice when Aflac paid me that $250, I was able to just wipe that part off. So, you do. And the vision I love because our vision is 2 parts. And I love anyone over 50 to get it, because as we get older, we start experiencing issues with our eyes. We pay you $45 for an exam, regardless of any other insurance. We pay you $80 for correction material, regardless of whether you had to pay $5 or $500. But this is the beautiful part about our vision policy. It's not a discount plan. It's called vision insurance. It averages $14 a month for those who are about 50 and up. But this is why I love it. So the background of it, they give you benefits for eye diseases, eye disorders, and eye surgeries. I had a retina detachment. They paid me $1,000 from a policy that was pennies on a dollar. And if I decide to have surgery, they will pay me another $1,000. So it's a tiny policy that's power packed. I tell people you never know. I had a client whose contact scratched her lenses. I had a client who had her cataracts removed. Aflac paid her $800 per eye. So it's not your typical vision discount plan. It's vision insurance. Your eyes are the best things you have. You better take care of them, and
Yes.
that will help you financially.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So yeah, make sure you get this information. Is there a website that you can direct?
Well, there's your
people to?
not mine, because
Mhm.
Aflac has so many stipulations on brand regulations. So
Right.
anyone can go to the aflac.com
Mhm.
website, and they even have little generators telling you just how all sorts of plans work and cost or whatnot. All of the brochures are there, but I can do that as well, as far as sending you the brochures that you need and breaking it down per cost for you or a family member, or helping you with the best way to sign up. But yes, the aflac.com website is there 24/7.
Great, great. But we definitely want people to reach out to you directly, because even though you read the information, you may not completely understand what it
Correct.
is. So you can break it down for our participants, our listeners today, and our listeners in the future, because this information, again, not only is going to stay on social media, but it's going to be on my YouTube channel, Royalty Business Group, so people can go in the future. If you didn't catch everything today, you go back and listen to this episode as well as our past episodes and get some great information.
Well,
So
that's wonderful.
yeah, so I wanted to find out from you about when you had mentioned about the accident insurance. And what specifically does that mean? Like, what type of accidents do they cover? And things like that, because you
Very
gave a
easy.
couple of examples of accidents. So I just want to get clarity on.
I have a plethora of examples, but I'll keep it short. I tell people any breaks, bruises, sprains, anything that an incident created. Now, I had a young lady who only had the accident policy, went through the emergency room because she had an emergency appendectomy. And she called me up and said, hey, I went through the emergency room. I have an emergency appendectomy. I'm out of work for 6 weeks. Can you help me file a claim? I said, no. She says, why not? I said, because you have the accident policy. It wasn't an accident. An accident had to be an incident: trip, fall, break, bruise, sprain. Like my husband's, he was on the tennis court playing tennis when he made a bad turn. You have to be able to reference it. So I jammed my toe, ran into something. Aflac paid me over $150 and went to help offset my $60 for my copay for urgent care. I broke a tooth opening up something. That was the incident. And they paid me $120 so I can go to the dentist and get it rebonded. I burned my hand, $120, because I didn't need an x-ray. I just went to the doctors, and I'm glad I went, because I was putting butter on it still. And the doctor was like, oh, no,
Don't do that.
you don't do that. And I was like, what are you talking about? Everybody puts butter. And she's like, no, you're just cooking it. And I was like, okay, so lesson learned. But so, it just depends. But I tell people now, the good news with the accident policy, like the cancer policy, Aflac wants to keep people health conscious. So with the accident policy, they have written in a benefit called wellness benefit. It's a perk. They will pay you $60 every year to go get a wellness exam. That's part of the accident policy. So you have that whether you have an accident or not. The other thing is, it can be as catastrophic as a car accident. You say, well, what if it was my fault? We don't ask that question. All we ask is for a police report, because some people lie, unfortunately. Yes. So once you show us that and then one person say, well, no police came. We didn't have a police report. Then let me have a letter from your insurance company referencing accident on July 15th. Anything that says you had an accident. Aflac is very accommodating, but there's people who like to, manipulate the system. So that's why they ask for backup data. But other than that, we don't get into whose fault it was and all of that. Now, the one other thing about Aflac that no other company does, let's say you let your Aflac lapse and you no longer have it in active status. but you had this accident 6 months ago that you never filed because you're just busy. You could still file for that claim. No other company lets you do that because Aflac goes by at the time of the incident. Did you have an active policy in place? Yes. Now, you don't get the perks of going online and uploading and all of the, but yes, you can fax it in, you can mail it in, and they will pay you. And they will send you a nice check, just like if you were still a policy holder. No company does that. So I tell people, you have a company that stands behind its brand and will stand behind you when you need them the most. That's a company you want to associate yourself with.
Now, does Aflac still pay out when it's a workers' comp situation?
No, because that's what workman's comp does.
Right.
But it does have a disability policy. So if, okay, I'm going to say two things here. I hope I don't confuse you. Let's say someone only has an accident policy and they got hurt on the job. Okay, so technically that's a workman's comp situation. But because they had an accident policy and it's still an accident, they would be paid through the accident policy.
Okay.
But if they had a disability policy and it was an injury on the job and they didn't have an on-the-job rider, which I would include if it was that type of position, let's say blue collar, I'm going to always put an on-the-job rider. But if they don't have the on-the-job rider and they got hurt on the job, then no, because they would consider that a workman's comp.
Okay.
But if they had the accident policy, they would still follow the normal accident claim process, if that makes sense.
Right. So it just depends on what type of policy the person has on whether or not it would pay out if it's a on the job injury.
Exactly. But if I have like right now, I have a plumbing company. I write all of them with an on the job rider because what's the likelihood of you getting hurt on the job? Pretty high. But with you, if you wanted an on the job rider, I wouldn't, because 9 times out of 10 people working in the office are not going to trip and fall in that sense.
Right. Wow.
But if you had the accident policy, you could use it for coverage.
Okay. All right. Wow, this is like some great stuff. So we understand that they pay out directly to those persons that have the policy, to the policy holder.
That's right.
And it's you have a plethora of different types of policies. I wanted to know if someone or a policyholder, let's say a policyholder, passes away, is that where it's just the life insurance just comes in, or how does Aflac work?
That's a great question. With the cancer policy, because some people go into hospice, there's a 12,000 line item for those who go into hospice. It's paid on a daily basis because so that is a component there. Outside of the cancer policy having that hospice benefit, the only other benefit would be the life insurance. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't believe it. There's a life insurance component with the accident because some accidents are fatal. And that is just built into the policy. Sorry, guys. It's just a lot of Aflac information in this head of mine. So, but yes. In fact, and here's my story with this. I had a mom, she worked at Safeway. She had just taken out a policy, accident, one parent family accident policy, 19-year-old son driving home in the rain the night before Mother's Day. He gets in a car accident because of the weather, and Aflac paid her. Hold on, I want to double check that amount. I want to say, I should know that amount, but I don't have that occurrence, fortunately, that often. Hold on. But anyway, the thing, because it was a car accident, normally they take a breathalyzer. They didn't take one on him because he was dead on arrival when he came to the hospital. I mean, once he got to the hospital, he died. So
Mhm.
for a child, they paid $10,000. For this mom who didn't have any life insurance on her son, and she's only had this policy 1 month. She hadn't even paid the first claim, I mean, premium, hadn't
Mhm.
even paid for it. I told her, I said, you got to make sure your 1 month claim premium clears so that you can get this. When her monthly payment cleared, Aflac paid her the 10, plus they paid her the $250 for the ambulance ride because her son was rushed to the hospital. And then there's $120 for just going through the emergency room. She got those 3 payments, only had the plan for less than a month, and she didn't have any other life insurance on her son, and they paid out. And so there was a hiccup. They said, well, they didn't take a breathalyzer test. And I got the hospital of, it was a unit, to write me a letter saying the reason why they didn't do this, they knew it was weather conditions that created this incident. And that's when Aflac released a check.
Mm.
Huge.
Wow. That is huge. That is huge.
I mean, it
Wow.
didn't bring her son back, but it definitely
Mhm.
helped her bury him.
Yeah, yes, that is huge, and a great blessing, that she
So
just
yes,
had it
it
right
comes
on
with
time.
it, and so yeah, there are lots of different benefits to death.
Okay, all right. Well, you have given some wonderful, wonderful information this evening, and I know those persons that are listening now while we're live, and those that will be listening in the future, are going to be taking notes, and have been taking notes. They're going to reach out to you and be able to ask you questions on information that they need based on their own personal situations. So again, I'm going to drop it into the chat one more time, your contact information, so people can be able to reach out to you. And of course, the website they can go to and get some general information to the Aflac website.
That's right.
What are some final words that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I can't emphasize being proactive. Too many times we either pretend and we feel I'm good. I hear that all the time. I'm good. Or we're frugal, but we'll go out and we'll buy that $300 handbag, or we'll spend a day between our hair, nails, and our pedicure, and I tell people, just like, you pay your tithes, pay yourself the second, this Aflac is another slice to protecting your income. No one has a crystal ball. No one knows what tomorrow will bring. So the best thing you can do is protect what you can, get your insurances lined up, and then, of course, trust God. But a lot of times people are so afraid, if I get that cancer policy, I'll get cancer. I've had the cancer policy since 2012, and trust me, I will have no problem if I never use it other than collecting my $100 wellness benefit. But if I do, because I know a lot of Christians are nervous, I meet 50-50. Some won't get it because they think that's selling out. I'm trusting God. I know a lot of Christians who love the Lord and still got cancer. So I tell people, prepare, sometimes we inherit things. We don't know everything we're eating. And then things just happen. I had a driver who crossed the median and ran into someone. I mean, just stuff happens. But the best thing we can do is be proactive and plan, because you don't know what tomorrow will bring. None of us have crystal balls.
Yes, yes. So thank you for those final words. Thank you for everyone that has been listening. And again, those of you that will be listening in the future, please make sure that you adhere to what Elvera was saying, be proactive. Say that saying one more time about get it before you get it.
Oh, you got to get it before you get it, because if you get it and you don't get it, you can't get it.
That is right. That is right. Once you get it, you can't get it.
That's it. So make sure you send me a link to that YouTube.
I definitely will. I definitely will. And again, thank you so much for
You're very welcome.
being online. We're gonna have to get together soon. It's been quite a while.
That's
And again, thank everybody for participating and listening in this evening. You all have a great evening.
And thank you again. I enjoyed it. Take care.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.